Hey guys. So last night, like I said, it was gonna happen on the last video. I said I knew I was gonna end up. Am I smushing you? Don't do that. I knew it was gonna happen. I knew I was gonna end up falling asleep. The movie was really good though, but I was so tired. So we're gonna talk about the movie POMS. POMS is on Netflix. It's about these. It's about, I don't want to say elderly, but it's about older ladies. And at first I didn't think it was going to be good. I thought it was going to be like an old movie where it's just like long and drawn out. Like I really like that movie. Like them old women was crazy as all get out. One of them, I don't remember what their names was, but there's this one old lady. Like she was a thought, a whole thought in a movie. She talks about how she had, and like she just tells all her business. She talked about how she had chlamydia. And when I say old lady, like they're in their 70s. And if some of you guys have watched the movie, like y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. But she was funny. Another lady, it was sad because she had cancer. Yeah, and she was dying in the movie, and she just wanted to like relive her days because she wasn't able to be a cheerleader. So they end up becoming cheerleaders. They lived in like this retirement home or a senior living, 55 and up. That's where she want to go live at when she gets that age. Your girl right here, she's not going to no 55 plus neighborhood. What? Bree didn't like.
Well, the reason why I want to live in a 55 plus neighborhood because I stayed at the Villages in Florida, and they are like, they got everything just out there, movie theater, everything was close, and everybody drove a golf cart. I'm talking about like custom built golf carts, and so. But who doesn't want to move to Florida? Come on now.
But they were in Georgia. The movie.
I know it's Georgia, but I'm talking about the 55 plus communities in Florida.
I don't. So, what are we gonna rate? I'm gonna rate that movie 8. I really enjoyed it. It was really funny. Even though I was sleepy, so I had to go back and actually rewatch it again. Because I felt like I missed some things. The movie was honestly funny, even with them like trying to find. So in the community, they had to have, if they didn't like the group that they were a part of or that they already had
club.
Okay, so they had to, if they didn't like the clubs that the community already had, they wanted to, or they were allowed to make their own club. So the lady that had cancer, or that the movie was mainly about, I think her name was Miriam.
Or Martha or something like that.
It began with the M, I know that. They was able to start their own club. So she always wanted to be a cheerleader. She wasn't able to be a cheerleader when she was younger. So she went to the meeting where they was allowed to like become new clubs, and it was just 2 of them. They thought like they could do a club with just 2 people, and the lady that didn't like anybody starting anything new, she's like the head honcho of the 55 and old up neighborhood. So she was like, well, you have to have at least like 8 people to sign up for this club, to sign up and make a club. So they had to go out and like find people that wanted to be in a club. But 6 people had signed up for it, but only 5 people had auditioned for it. So they wanted the club, so they let the 5 ladies come. And I cannot think of what that older black lady name is on the movie. But she was so funny. And you know how like some older people can dance, but like she was like the older stiff lady that she was like your cute grandma. She was. I liked her. None of them were really like cheerlead. Well, I can't say. They had a good time. They made their own club and they did a really nice job. But the one lady that really like stood out to me was because her husband was like really um a alpha male, and he didn't want his wife doing anything. She was like, well, I can't join. Like, yeah, I signed up for it, but I can't join because my husband wants me to stay at home and cook for him and clean for him, and he doesn't like me out late at night. So that was like, really, he's a lazy piece of it. And they was like telling her about her husband. So she's like, well, maybe I can go ask him again. So she goes outside, and they're at the house while she's asking him. She goes outside her back door, and she asks him, and you can see him in the blinds and everything, talking like cash money trash to her. And she walks back in, and she's like, well, I might be able to join. And they was like, well, what did he say? Well, he said, over my dead body. And the next day, guess what? They're having a funeral for her husband.
And she walks by and says, okay, I see y'all at practice tomorrow.
So she killed her husband to become a cheerleader. That was a really funny part.
And the other part was the noise ordinance.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so in the neighborhood, the lady that became her best friend, like in the beginning, she was like so annoying to her. She didn't like her, and they end up becoming best friends. So the one that I said was a thought. She was like, she came over to the lady house and she was like, hey, I was hoping you was a male because it's not enough, kind of like saying it's not enough cock in the neighborhood going around for the women. So she was like, well, no, well, I'm a woman or whatever. The lady just pretty much invites herself into her house. She then goes, like kind of like looking around her house, making herself comfortable in the house. The other lady, the next door neighbor, Martha, and I don't know if her name is Martha. She pretty much tries to like push her out of the house and everything. So that night she has like a spades party, and she tells her like she likes to play spades. She's like a real card person. She's like,
it was poker.
Oh, excuse me, it was poker. She was like, but they don't gamble for money. I don't know what they were like what they won if they won the game. But they weren't allowed to like gamble for money, so they didn't gamble for money. But like she had a whole club at her house. So Martha, what'd you say her name? You thought her name was?
Who?
The lady.
Martha.
Oh, and what did I say?
Marion.
Okay, it might be Miriam too. I don't know.
No, it's Martha.
She she called the security owner, and she was like, it's a code 114 going on over there.
No, she said it was a code 314 going on.
Are you sure it's 314?
No, she said 315. It's a 315.
No, it was a 14 because the 315 or whatever the 15 was the right code.
Okay, so anyway.
Don't anyways me.
So the dudes, the chief of security stood up and said, they having a raid?
Somebody over there getting raped? And she's like, no. It's a noise
She's looking at her notes and stuff. She was like, what's noise? What's the noise ordinance? And he said something about 314 or 315. He corrected her. And then they hurried along in their golf cart.
So they ended when she called the security guards on them. They walked through the lady's backyard and knocked on her back door and was like, did you call the cops on us? And she was like, no, I didn't. She's like, well, I hope if you had an issue with all the noise, you would come talk to me. And Martha was like, well, I hope you do the same thing too. She's like, oh, well, we about to have our party over here because they looking for us. So they like bombarded her house, came in her house, started playing, you said poker. And then the security guards go knock on the lady that was having the party house, but everybody was gone then. So they end up going to go knock on Martha's door, and it was like, yeah, did you call the cops? And she was like, yeah, but it's okay, like everything is good, because they were in her house now, so she was the one who was going to get in trouble. They was like, well, we're going to sit out here and patrol the neighborhood. Now, mind you, instead of them just like walking. So they walk like they're literally neighbors. They're in the golf cart. They drive the golf cart literally
2 seconds.
I mean, like, it rolls, the wheels probably rolled like 4 times. Instead of just walking from her house to the next door neighbor house, they walk from her house to get back in the golf cart to drive like 2 feet down and then walk to her house. That's how lazy they are. So the lady that's over the neighborhood was really jealous of them because like she was making friends like real quick. She was like, if you don't figure out what they're doing and shut it down, I'm gonna give it to, I don't know what the
Doris. Doris, who's also 80-some years old,
and a snitch,
to
a
have
whole
her
snitch,
for her to be chief of security if he didn't go and find out what those ladies were doing.
She was gonna take his position and give it to Doris. And as the lady's walking out, Doris is like, Doris was a real gangster, but she was a snitch too. So they the lady over the group, remember, she wanted them to shut everything down. So when she shut everything down, they had to find another place to do the cheering stuff at. So they did the older lady. So she tried to lie and say like her grandson was her yard guy, because at 55 and plus you're not supposed to have anyone younger living in your house. Well, she had her grandson there and she was saying that he was her
landscaper.
Yeah. But I don't know, something happened with his parents and he lived with the grandma. And the grandma taught at the school. Oh, we forgot about that. So she was teaching, what class was she actually teaching? Because it was not a health class.
It was a literature class.
So she was teaching a literature class, but she goes in there and
substituting.
She is a substitute, and there I can't think of the girl's name, but she played the girl that I'm referring to. She plays on a lot of movies, a lot of good movies too. She was like, we're supposed to be learning about you know what?
I think it was something Romeo and Juliet or something.
It was something like that, like a historical book they were supposed to be learning about. And she was like, well, today y'all gonna learn about herpes. And
gonorrhea.
Yeah, it was gonorrhea too. So it talks about, like, you know, like in health class, like how they supposed to show you the video. Like the video was not appropriate for her to be teaching in a classroom. Like they don't go into depth with all of that in any health class anymore. And the video that she was playing with them was not supposed to be in that school. Well, I can't say it wasn't supposed to be, but it wasn't appropriate for her to be showing it. So then her friend comes up to the school and is like, listen, we need to find a place for us to cheer at. She's like, well, the only way I'm gonna do that is if you teach my grandson how to drive a car. So she's like, I can't teach him how to drive a car. She's like, well, I can't teach him how to drive a car either because I don't have a car. And she was like, all right, I'll do it. You find us a place for us to practice at. I will teach your grandson how to drive a car. So as she's teaching other ladies' grandson how to drive a car, she's teaching him how to back up and then pull forward. So he's backing up. He does an okay job backing up, but then he forgets to put the car in drive when she's telling him, like, no, go forward. He ended up backing up into the other girl's car, and she's like, my mom is gonna get me. Like, it was a little scratch. It wasn't like that bad. Long story short, them two end up starting to date and everything at the end of the movie. It doesn't even really say if he learns how to drive or not.
But he did learn because he ended up driving the bus to the competition.
I thought that was Martha that.
No.
So remember when they were late, when it was like, we can't go anywhere if Martha doesn't show up. I thought Martha drove the bus up there.
No, she was supposed to drive, but she gave the key to the boy to drive because she had to go break that other lady out of her house.
But they were in the van. Remember when they pulled up in the van? And all the women were sitting out there with like the cheerleader's outfit. And she jumped out the door. I thought she was driving.
She drove it up to the certain point because they came up with the idea to go break the other lady out. So they was like, well, they gave the key to the boy and said, look, you're gonna have to drive. You can really be the
because they did
driver.
drop them off. Yeah.
Y'all, you the getaway driver,
Yeah.
and we got to go break this other lady out of her house because her son had her somewhat hostage.
Oh, like house arrest.
Because he the one that
in control of her money.
In his father passed away, and he was the, I guess, executor of the estate, so he controlled the money. And so he walked up to the lady who was the leader of the cheerleaders and said, hey, my mom told me that she is supposed to be paying $100, and I'm in charge of the money, and
I didn't know what.
And who wants to see old women, old ladies, 80-year-old ladies in cheerleader outfits? The answer is no. And he hurry up and jump in the golf cart and speed off.
Because another one of the women that usually don't ever say anything, she went up to him and she pretty much shut him down, and he was so scared. Come to find out, she ended up getting the outfit. They end up kidnapping. Well, let me not say kidnapping. They end up going to go get their friend because she broke her foot, so she couldn't really get out and do anything. She broke her foot, was in a wheelchair. So they threw a brick in the window.
They threw a brick at the son's BMW. And
he called security.
He called chief of security and said, somebody just threw a brick at my window.
And the wife, his wife and her, they end up moving into her house. So as he's at the front door looking out to see who threw the brick or if anybody was out there, they was taking the grandma out, well, his mom out the back. And the wife was like, she's gone. She's not in her room. So they end up putting her in a bus and taking her to the cheerleading competition.
But the chief of security was trying so hard to stop the bus from going by trying to block the bus with the golf cart. And of course,
and beeping the horn.
Yeah, and the boy ended up, getting away, and the lady was like, "Hurry, push the gas all the way down." And he was like, "This is how fast it goes. It doesn't go any more faster." And then he saw one of the ladies' husband and his friends get in their truck, and the lady was asking, "Where y'all going?" And he was like, "We're going to the competition." And so the chief of security jumped out of the golf cart and said, I'm going. And he jumps in the back of the pickup truck, and they all go to the competition.
I really thought he was going to flick her off.
Well,
he didn't. I thought he was going to flick her off. So the older ladies end up getting famous because the young girl that the boy hit her car, she recorded the video of them. The first time they had a performance, they went to the high school and they kind of like bombarded their pep rally. And that's how the old lady broke her foot. So she just recorded it just like being funny, but she was not recording it to
post it on YouTube. One of her cheerleader friends did that. Posted it on YouTube and it went viral.
And then that's how they pretty much became famous, whatever. But the girl that recorded it, she was like, well, I didn't want you to post it. You posted it like that wasn't right. And so she was mad and started crying and everything. So they kind of
asked her to be the choreographer for
their group.
Of the cheerleading team because they really needed work.
No, they was good. You was hating.
No, they weren't good.
You was hating.
They were horrible.
Yeah. But they were pretty good at the end. I don't know, like they it didn't say like they won the competition or anything at the end of the movie. Martha ended up passing away. And then they had like another cheer competition at the end of it. And they had like new ladies they had a whole lot more people because it started out with 8 people in the group, and I think at the end it probably had like 12 to 15 new ladies. So it was like a good. To me, I felt like it was a good family movie. It's not just for like older women to want to watch it, like young kids can want to watch it. It was funny to me. I liked it.
What about the part where the cheerleaders was at the pet rally and
Oh,
they was
yeah.
like break a leg or break a
No, she
hip?
said told her break a hip.
Like break a hip, and
The old lady said get pregnant. Like, how do you tell? And like they're teenagers. Like, how you telling a teenager to go get pregnant? How you telling this old lady to break her hip? Because usually it is like break a leg, but she's like, no, go break a hip. I was like, wow, but that was funny too. What else?
That's about it for that movie. We will stay tuned for the other movies.
But you didn't say what you rated it. I rated it an 8.
I rated it nothing.
Are you kidding me? It was a good movie. I rated it an 8. She's not like the romantic romance movie person. I like all like the romance stuff. So even the next movie that we're going to talk about, you said it was boring, didn't you?
I don't know what one you're talking about, but on to the next. We'll be back with our discussion on the other movies. Bye bye.
You're so ahead. You push